morning, everyone. I think it's a very timely meeting today, as we see that Russians are not stopping those drones who are flying over our borders and our cities. Unfortunately, we have experienced drone invasion, or I don't know how even to call it, in my country, in Latvia, as we have seen in Poland, and now in Denmark as well. It's very unusual that those drones can reach even Denmark. So today it's very important to discuss how we can coordinate even more what we do in NATO, what we can do in European Union level. And I'm waiting very much European Commission proposal for using Russian immobilized assets for aid to Ukraine. We have been asking for quite a long time to use those immobilized assets for Ukraine, but now Commission has a proposal and we really need to see what's in details. As well, I'm looking forward for a proposal how we can increase even better our eastern flank defense and deterrence, and initiative about drone wall or something like that has been always very welcome from our side. And one more thing, I congratulate citizens of Moldova. They have voted very positive towards Europe, so we have to do our homework now about integration of Ukraine and Moldova, and we have to open a first cluster.
How do you overcome the legal concerns about evacuations?
Sorry?
How do you overcome the legal concerns about evacuations? Does Europe have any financial alternatives?
I think we have to use this reparations and proposal, because I haven't seen any other better proposal yet, but Ukraine eagerly needs financial resources today. As we see as well in Europe, we as well need more financial resources, how we can help Europe and how we can help Ukraine. We don't need to think only about Ukraine. We actually need to think about European security. And it's not that we can see drones flying over Ukraine nowadays. Now we can see those drones can suddenly happen to be in Denmark, for example. So therefore, I believe we really have to go forward with reparations. I don't think there is a potential that it can go wrong, but sure, we still can work on details, but it's a good proposal. So I really support European Commission's proposal. Europe should prepare themselves. We in Baltics, we have already experienced drones, and so it means last year we allocated some financial resources. We bought the sensors, and we are collaborating with Ukrainians from their experience, having sound systems, what can detect those drones. And as well, we need to protect as well our civilian, like airports. And therefore, our airports should invest more in critical infrastructure for protecting ourselves. I'm open to share what we already have done, but sure, we will be more stronger if we will work together, and Europe should coordinate. For example, there will be some resources in eastern flank, and there will be some needs in different countries. We are ready to work together, so we can we can actually move those capabilities what we will have. So therefore, I see a potential, and I am open to share with my colleagues today probably what we have done.
Do you actually expect member states to agree on here today? Do you think there will be an agreement on the drone wall, for example?
I think yes. I think yes, that I will be supporting. I will definitely support both of them, using Russian frozen assets, immobilized assets for Ukraine as well, how to deal with those issues, and the money we already have allocated for Ukraine. For example, Latvia has a promise to give Ukraine 0.25% of our GDP every year until the war is ended. So it means we have promise we want to fulfill. It includes as well that part. For drone wall, definitely, there are still details what we need to discuss, but I believe it's at least one really good proposal how we can go forward and to protect our European citizens.
The European drone wall wouldn't be ready before 2-3 years years' time. So what exactly should be done to secure the European infrastructure?
You know, with drones we can go very quickly forward. We don't need 3 years. And I believe we can do it in a much shorter time. It just depends from the leaders. Can we agree on a much shorter time? Because with drones, they're developing so fast. 3 years is too long. So if we will decide today we really need to do more on our procurement, we have done in Latvia like new bureaucratic rules. We are taking them down to be ready to buy in what we need for our deterrence. And drones is something which we are developing very fast. So we have to work together with universities, with new companies, startups, and we are ready to be, I think, 1 year, year and a half, it's doable.
You mentioned that there are different needs of different member states and that you're willing to cooperate, but what does this mean concretely? We already have southern member states who are really afraid that they will lose the distribution battle when it comes to the allocation of funds for example, drone projects, because they have other security threats. So
I think we need to work in. I'm open to coordinate because I really understand as well that there could be threats on the southern part, but we need to look regionally. What are those, like, we will not be able to target every issue or every problem with the same measures. So we need to develop different regional measures for different regions of Europe. Southern part needs protection from more from from southern part. And sure, we understand we mainly have threats from Russia and Belarus, but as you have experienced, not only Eastern Border countries are experiencing some threats from Russia. Nowadays, they can choose freely where they're going. They're using maybe even ships and big vessels, and drones can go up from those platforms. So we have to look smart, and we have to be ready as well for climate change. We have to propose regional policies. Probably not everything will be useful for all of Europe, but we have to work in a more detailed way. And you know, we are now leading coalition together with UK, a drone coalition, with other more or less 20 countries who are aiding drones to Ukraine. We have a pretty big experience on drones, and let's see, we are able to provide this leadership. We'll see. We haven't discussed it yet, but we can be one of the partners in this coalition, definitely, as well as Eastern flank. Thank you.
Europe right now?
I think it's a very timely meeting today because we are here to discuss security in Europe as well, and we as Baltic states has experienced already threats from Russia and Belarus quite a long time ago. So we are here to share our practices. We experienced first drone. Accident. I didn't even know how to explain it last year, and since then we have done quite a lot of our homeworks. We have. Have a decision in time, if we will hesitate, it will not benefit all of Europe.
How are you planning to finance the drone?
I think it's just a new proposal. That's what we will need to discuss today, because we are already financing from our budget. That's what we're speaking about NATO, and sure, NATO and Europe cannot overlap those operative things. What we are doing, we need to coordinate those things because more or less the same countries are as well in coalition of willing, which are helping Ukraine. So we need to decide what we do within European framework and what we are already doing in NATO. So a lot of discussions and decisions should be made.
Is it possible that the EU would funnel money to Ukraine through NATO?
I didn't quite understand the question.
Is it possible that the EU would funnel money to keep Ukraine in the fight through NATO programs?
I'm not sure about NATO programs, but I think we need to use immobilize Russian assets. That's one really big source, and Ukraine really needs quite a lot of financial resources to boost their army, to have their security guarantees, and to have their military needs, what they really need today, not somewhere some days later. So we need to have decisions, and those assets are really usable. Thank you. Denmark as well should react, should get more stronger in a sense of muscles, probably to understand where those drones come from. And we need to protect as well our civil areas as airports as well. We need sound systems, we need radars, and maybe they need to be in a much...
Good morning, Prime Minister.
I will be much wiser tomorrow.
Who do you think is behind the drone incidents?
It's very important to be here in Copenhagen and Denmark today at this time when our security situation is very, very difficult. Russia is continuing its war of aggression in Ukraine every day and night, killing people. And now the drones, even here in Copenhagen, it's underlined how difficult situation this is. I visited in the morning in the military base where is also Finnish troops. We are participating and contributing. We are showing solidarity to Denmark and contributing to the security of this summit also. And this is what we need more in Europe at this moment. More solidarity, more unity, more cooperation in security and defense. And this is what we have to discuss today in the meeting. How we support Ukraine more via frozen assets, how we can take concrete steps to strengthen European defense. And the last one is, which is urgent, how to build the drone wall and take care of eastern flank. These are the most important issues we have on the table today. Sorry. Sorry? Sorry, I didn't hear what you asked.
You and your Swedish counterpart
Yes.
in a letter both backing this idea of reparations now. How are you going to convince them? Is that not something we agree?
I think that now.
Hello, what is your
Good
reaction?
morning. It's really a pleasure to be back in Copenhagen. Today we have two big topics that we are going to talk about. One is defense and the other is Ukraine. On defense we have already done a lot, provided several financial instruments, and now we are also discussing the roadmap, how we can actually nudge member states to work more closely together and to join projects and really meet their capability targets that they have in NATO as well. On Ukraine, of course, we are all wanting peace and ceasefire. That's why we are putting more pressure on Russia. We have put forward 19th package of sanctions. We are also discussing reparations loan from the frozen assets so that we can really help Ukraine to defend themselves in this difficult situation. And we see Russia clearly escalating with the different types of incursions that they are doing.
What's your reaction to many drone attacks recently?
Well, it's of course it's not attributed, but the pattern is very clear that the hybrid attacks across Europe have been really escalating. Like NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte said, it's not hybrid attacks but states-sponsored terrorism, and we need to be very firm to respond to that.
Do you suspect Russia being behind it?
Well, it is up to the member state to attribute to the evidence. So if Denmark hasn't said that, then I'm not willing to say that either.
Also, building the drone wall, there's a lot of talk about the drone wall right now. Experts say it's going to take a lot of years. Do you think that we are on track of actually building a real defense against drones?
Yeah. On Friday we had a very good meeting with the Ukrainians and also the eastern flank member states regarding the drone wall. And Ukrainians have been able to build this quite quickly. I mean, they were showing what kind of sensors do you need, what kind of different lines do you need, and they also have the drone production in Ukraine, and it can be also extended to Europe. So if there's a will, there's a way, and we can do it also faster, but of course it requires funding.
How do you see Denmark's role in building such a security measure as a drone wall? What kind of capacities can Denmark build?
Well, Denmark has been instrumental in working together with the Ukraine defense industry and also helping Ukraine defense industry. So I think there is a lot of possibilities to also bring the industry to Europe in different parts of Europe, including Denmark, so that we can, bring the procurement times down, bring the prices down, and really get it up fast. Well, we are working on the reparations loan. To move as fast as possible, but of course not all member states are there. It's not supported by everybody yet, so there's still a lot of work to do. So I can't put the deadline, and we are trying to do as fast as possible.
Do you see possibility to unblock accession process to allow Ukraine to start negotiation and foresee and
Well, we are working on that as well. That requires also discussion regarding our working methods that is planned also in October in the Foreign Affairs Council, as well as the council that is happening in October.
There must be a huge risk that these operations will be paid by the taxpayers in the United States.
No, the reparation loan is based on the frozen assets, so it's based on the Russian assets actually, and the system is so that if Russia does not pay the reparations to Ukraine, then these assets are not given back. If Russia decides after this war is over to repay all the damages that they have caused, then of course these assets will be given back, and this loan is not there. But if we don't take those assets into account, then it's on our taxpayers, that's for sure.
But is there any way to mobilize, to seize these Russian assets and still not in a way that is not breaching law?
The law says very clearly, the basic principle of international law is that you have to cover the damages you have caused, and that is the basis of that. Russia is causing tremendous damage in Ukraine right now, and it is not right that anybody else should pay for it than Russia. That is the basis of the law. When we have to develop the rules further, we can do that like we have done with the international tribunals, like we have done with many things that didn't exist before, so we need to do that.
But aren't we running a huge risk of sending a bad signal to people who would like to put money and invest in Europe if their assets ultimately can't be seized for whatever political decision?
If you don't start the war against another country, then you are out of the risk. And I think majority of the countries, majority of the people, majority of the companies in the world will not start wars against other countries. Thank you.
Unprecedented speed because we've reformed internally. Good morning. Good morning. We live in troubled times. The Russian war against Ukraine is still ongoing. We see that Russia is testing our resolve. So these are times where it is absolutely paramount that we have a common sense of urgency and unity to address these challenges. And therefore this informal European Council in Copenhagen comes just at the right time. We're going to discuss two topics. One is defense and the other one is Ukraine. On defense, my commission has prepared a scoping paper to discuss the direction of action, but also, for example, flagships like the drone wall. And if it comes to Ukraine, if we all agree that Ukraine is our first line of defense, we have to step up the military support for Ukraine. This is the reason why today we are disbursing 4 billion euros for Ukraine. 2 billion euros of that will be invested in drones. And we have to increase the pressure on Russia. And this is why I have proposed reparation loans for Ukraine on the basis of the immobilized Russian assets. We are not confiscating the assets, but we are taking the cash balances for loan to Ukraine. Ukraine has to pay back this loan if Russia pays reparations because the perpetrator has to be held accountable.
In the sense of the reparations loan, it's a very sensitive discussions, and many countries are very hesitant, to say the least, that this is a good idea. What is your impression? Do you think that you can get unanimity and the backing that is needed to finance Ukraine's the fact that they can keep up the battlefield exercises and everything? Do you think that there is a consensus?
There's a growing consensus among us that it's not only the European taxpayers that should pay for the support to Ukraine, but that Russia has to be held accountable. Russia is the perpetrator, it has caused the damage, and it has to be held accountable. And I think we have now a sound legal way to do this with the proposals of the reparations law.
The same line or did lie, it is.
Do you suspect Russia being behind the many drones?
Excuse me?
Do you suspect Russia being behind the many drones attacks?
So the attribution of the drones attacks is a question that the Danish authorities have to define. What I see overall, also in the frontline countries, we had drones in Poland, we had the incursion of the airspace in Estonia, is a pattern. And this pattern is coming from Russia insofar as Russia tries to test us, but Russia also tries to sow division and anxiety in our societies. We will not let this happen.
President, we are seeing arrests of Ukrainian citizens regarding the Nord Stream explosions. How will that affect the support for Ukraine if it turns out that Ukraine will be off the gas grid?
Our support for Ukraine is ironclad. Thank you.
Do you support President Costa's mission to overhaul enlargement?
What do you think about the cooperation with drones?
Destruction and damage to a state like Ukraine, that it should be paying reparations ultimately. And the idea that authoritarian states can wage war and expect others to have to reconstruct afterwards is a principle I think needs to be shed, if you like, and alternative approaches need to be developed so as to provide deterrence for the future. And that we can protect people's territorial integrity and sovereignty into the future. But also raise the Middle East and again push very strongly for a cessation, obviously, of all war, an end to the Israeli attack on Gaza City. Massive surge of aid is required, and I think the President Trump's proposals does allow for a UN Red Crescent conducted aid program, which is absolutely vital in terms of the people of Gaza, and the cessation of all violence, the release of all hostages as well, and it creates an opportunity for progress. But the immediate priority must be a cessation of ceasefire, release of all hostages, and a massive surge of humanitarian aid.
Just on that loan to Ukraine that's been proposed, what's your thoughts on the nature of it in terms of touching the frozen assets? And then secondly, on the budget, do you accept that people will have and will have to face having less spending power this Christmas as a result of the decisions being taken?
Well, first of all, in terms of the loan, I mean, it's been discussed, but I think that the situation, as the war continues, I mean, we want an end to the war in Ukraine. Europe wants an end to the war in Ukraine, so does Ukraine. But President Putin is not engaging in any negotiations around peace or a ceasefire. And so there is a very great need for very significant supports for Ukraine, financial supports, supporting Ukrainian defence capabilities and so on. And it is inevitable that recourse in some shape or form to those assets would be made. We've already used windfall or interest arising out of those assets to be used, and now we're looking at a loan facility and framework that would govern further aid going to Ukraine, and that's the context. And there are challenges to it, but given the seriousness and severity of the situation, that's where Europe now is in terms of the next stage.
And the budget?
Will people have less money in their pockets?
See, first of all, real wages are increasing this year, net by about 3%. I mean, inflation rates at about 2%. Wages across the economy are rising by 5%. We will have a social protection package. But last year, inflation had reached very high levels coming out of COVID-19, and we were trying to protect people for 2 to 3 years with the specific special packages, and it's not feasible that they would continue forever. But it depends on other aspects of the economy as well. I mean, we have enormous resilience in the economy at the moment. I'm conscious of the pressure you guys are under here, but there's significant resilience in the economy with economic growth. Consumer spending is up, and we've got to make sure that we keep the basics right in terms of investment in infrastructure, which is will be a key aspect of the budget, investment in housing, and also in terms of competitiveness, and then to protect the vulnerable and the marginalised.
The whole thrust towards readiness 2030 and the idea of a European semester on defence, does this have any...
Wir haben im Wesentlichen zwei Themen, die uns beschäftigen werden. Einmal die Verteidigungsbereitschaft und die Verteidigungsfähigkeit von der Europäischen Union, aber natürlich auch von Österreich, und wie man die Ukraine weiter unterstützen kann und wird in dieser Situation, wo der Angriffskrieg von Seiten Russlands fortgesetzt wird. Und letztlich wird es auch darum gehen, wie wir die Entbürokratisierung vorantreiben. Ich unterstütze hier den deutschen Bundeskanzler ausdrücklich. Es geht darum, dass wir die Deregulierung auch weiter vorantreiben werden.
Wenn es Millionen Störfälle zuletzt in Dänemark, ist denn Ihrer Meinung nach eine Razzia?
Der Verdacht liegt nahe, dass Russland daran nicht unbeteiligt ist, und es gibt auch Hinweise, die in diese Richtung gehen. Diese Luftraumverletzungen, die ja nicht nur Dänemark betreffen, sondern auch die baltischen Staaten, Polen und auch Rumänien, sind natürlich völlig inakzeptabel. Das ist eine Provokation, die sehr gefährlich ist, weil sie für eine weitere Eskalation den Raum bietet. Und das zeigt, wie notwendig es ist, dass wir unsere Verteidigungsbereitschaft erhöhen und auch verbessern. Das gilt natürlich auch für Österreich. Deshalb werden wir auch hier im Bundesheer nachrüsten, und der Aufbauplan sieht ja auch vor, dass hier die Mittel entsprechend für das Bundesheer zur Verfügung gestellt werden. Wir sehen, dass man sich nicht in einer falschen Sicherheit wiegen darf. Die Kriegsführung hat sich in vielfacher Weise verändert. Sie haben es richtig angesprochen. Einerseits sind Drohnen eine ganz neue Möglichkeit. Andererseits sind wir auch hybrider Bedrohungen durch Cyberangriffe und Ähnlichem ausgesetzt. Also in einer falschen Sicherheit sollte man sich nicht wiegen. Und auch wenn man sich die verschiedenen Äußerungen von russischen Politikern anhört, weiß man, dass wir mit bedroht sind. Wir sind ein neutrales Land. Alles, was wir machen, ist am Boden der Neutralität. Aber die Neutralität verbietet uns nicht, dass wir gemeinsame Beschaffungen ins Auge fassen, wie beispielsweise bei Sky Shield. Und das halte ich auch